Hi, this is Gretchen, the Verdant Crafter. I want to apologize. I had meant to create and post a video using the August 2017 Simon Says Stamp card kit, which is called Together, quite a long time ago. It was a unique release, it was fun to use, and I was able to create some really fun cards. And that's the cat. Unfortunately, in moving and getting everything ready, getting my new classroom ready because I'm in a new school, I lost the footage while I was looking for it on my computer. I probably deleted it because I decided to delete a whole bunch of files that I was finding that I wasn't using and I knew that I was never going to be using again. And then once I realized that I deleted everything, including deleting or emptying the recycling bin and defragging my computer, I realized that I'd probably just deleted the first set of cards. Now I had a few more cards that I had just uploaded the pictures and the video, but in a fit of pique, I was like, well, if I deleted them all, I'll just delete them all. And I wasn't going to do anything. But I do have a whole bunch of cards, and they're not all great. Some of them are very similar, but they are unique. Now, the September card kit has been released. It's fantastic. It's got some doodlebug paper and a really nice stamp set. It's all about rainbows and friendship and color. So I will be utilizing that card kit to make 10 cards. But I did think, or I thought that I would show you what I have left over from the card kit, because it's not a lot. And I'd show you some of the cards I made, and I talk about what I did to make them. So this is not showing you how I made them. This is not a tutorial type video. This is showing you the card and talking about how I made them. This is not the type of video I plan to make in the future, but I did want to share what I had done with you so you can get some ideas, especially if you haven't used the card kit. I was just on the website and it looked like this card kit is still available. I'm not sure how many there are. So if you want this kit, I would jump on to the Simon Says Stamp website and purchase it. And if you don't want it, then don't buy it. Okay, so the stamp set is called You Plus Me. And it's really a plus sign, but my label maker doesn't have a plus sign. So I like this stamp set because you've got some border patterns, including this. You've got some little figures. You've got love, thanks, you plus me equals awesome. You are a great friend. You are incredible. That was my favorite sentiment to use. Love you endlessly. Love that we're friends. Love everything about you. Thanks for everything you do. So I did use this stamp set quite a bit, but I also try to utilize the paper, which came from, who did it come from? Pink Fresh Live More collection. So it came from Pink Fresh. This card kit also came with the Distress Oxide ink Cracked Pistachio. It's a fantastic color. It came with this gorgeous embossing powder called Cloud 9. So you can see I have some heat embossed here. I just did that on a piece of paper, cut out a circle because during my move I lost my circle punches. And I also lost my die cutter, which I have since found. And just glued it on with some glossy accents. This card kit came with cardstock for making your card bases. It came with a bunch of Live More, so the Pink Fresh paper. It came with some puffy stickers, which are really cool. So puffy stickers normally have a glossy finish on them, but these have more of a matte, velvety feel to them, which I really like. And I think that's it. So I tried to stick to what was in the card kit, and remember at this time I had totally lost my die cutting machine, which ended up being at my parents' place because I did this move out of my old apartment, move into their garage, move into my new apartment. It was fun. these are shown in no particular order. I love this paper. It's got these great triangles with, you know, the coral accent. This paper also, one of the papers also came with a whole bunch of squares, which I cut out. I threw away my scraps, but I kept my favorite ones that I hadn't used yet. This is awesome. I love that. You are my favorite. I just love that. I often tell people my favorite, and then they actually get kind of upset with me because, well, you said that to someone else. Well, I mean it. You're both my favorites. You can't have multiple favorites. Okay. In this moment, you're my favorite. In that moment, they're my favorite. Okay. This moment is perfect. I used a quickie glue pen from Sakura to put on embossing powder and melted it over the top of some of the triangles. And it's hard to see on camera, but in person you do see the orange behind and the turquoise, and love where you are. So this moment is just perfect. Love where you are. And I stamped you are incredible. I tried to match the ink to this. It didn't quite end up perfect, but it ended up pretty close. Okay. So, next up, this one. Together is the best place to be. I love this paper. It's got all the little geometric shapes. So I cut out one of the squares of paper. I also cut out some gray cardstock. I rounded corners. So this cardstock is A2 size. So it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Most of my papers are 4 inches by 5 1/4. That way it leaves a nice little border. I also used the glossy accents to highlight each of the lines and highlight some of the squares that were on top. So it just adds a little bit of shine and dimension and interest. And I didn't add anything to inside, but eventually I'll come in with paper and I'll round the corners and just put it in there. Okay, so next up, there's a theme here. This was my favorite paper. It's got this wonderful marble, it's got this orange stripe, and then it's got these diagonal stripes. So one of the squares says happy little things. I cut it out and I tried to sort of mostly match the stripes. I wanted it to blend into the side, but I did mat it on a piece of the marbling paper. And I stamped you are incredible, you are incredible, you are incredible. So remember, you are incredible. And happy little things. I like to give a lot of thank you for being awesome, thank you for being incredible, I really appreciate you type of cards. So those are what I tend to make because those are what I give most often and feel most comfortable giving people. Okay, so this card is very simple. The card has a mat with this wonderful triangle paper, and I cut a banner. So this puffy sticker says, you make me so happy, and I stamped love that we're friends, and I heat embossed those with the Cloud 9 embossing powder. I also used one of the Distress Oxides, I think it was Worn Lipstick, to stamp the dash lines as stitches and 2 of the hearts. Okay, so this is one of the cards that I did towards the end. I had a lot of scraps of paper and I wanted to use them up because I knew if I didn't use them, I was just going to throw them away. So and again, there are other cards that I made before these. These are shown in no particular order. I covered my cardstock with double-sided tape, and I cut a whole bunch of these just strips, and I laid them on. I did have places where I didn't quite meet the cardstock together, so I used Silver Cosmic Swirl, I think, gilding flakes, and I just rubbed it in to try and get that into all the spots. That actually ended up inspiring me to create some other cards. So it says, so happy together. Breathe it all in, love it all out. I love that sentiment. So this is one of the cards that I made after that one. So you can see I deliberately left gaps between the paper, and I used gilding flakes. It's a mixture of copper, silver, and gold, but mostly silver flakes. I think it was called Cosmic Swirl. And I used this sticker. There is beauty in simplicity. So this isn't really simplistic, but it was a simplistic idea. And I really like it. This is one of my favorite cards. Okay, so this card is pretty simple. We have the background, we have the corner chomps, so the curved edges, 2 banners. Be who you are, do what you do. Don't quit. I really like this. I think it's a positive sentiment. I think it's something that honestly I could give to some of my students. They are high school age, and you know, they're making that transition from being an adolescent to being more of an adult. Some of them, actually all of them, need encouragement at different times. So honestly, a lot of these encouragement cards I make to give to students, especially around Christmas, Thanksgiving, anytime they're spending a lot of time at home and they don't have the escape that school can offer. And just anytime I think that they're down, it's kind of silly, but it's something that makes me feel better, and as far as I can tell, it makes them feel better too. Okay, again with the square. So this used the black cardstock base, and I used some Love from Lizzie peel-offs. So I cut these 2 papers because they went together and layered them. And then right here at the edge of the paper, I used this black thicker peel-off. They're just very long stickers, and then I layered them, so thick, thinner, thinnest. This puffy sticker says be in this moment, and this square says here is where you need to be, here is where you can be wild and free, here where you can start next chapter in your life, here where you can dream and dare to chase it, here where there is always a rainbow at the end of your journey, here where you can find happiness, here where you are never alone, here where you will find your happy ever after. I'm not sure who I'd give that to, but I do like the card. This is a card that I actually don't like, but I like the idea. So I think at that time Jennifer McGuire had just posted a video where she shows herself using cross-stitching to make cards. So I used a scissors and I cut off just the end little dash. I mounted that on quite a big stamp block because I lost my tiny stamp blocks in the move. And I used Distress Oxides. So you can see my first row is pretty good, and then it sort of goes downhill from there. I wanted to do some flowers and stuff. I had trouble positioning them. So I think this is a good idea. If you're going to do something like this, I would plan out your design better than I did. And I would understand that it's going to take a lot more patience. It can be very hard to configure one of the little squares exactly where you think it should be. And I threw away a sample, but I did mount this entire thing. So I had just a little piece of paper left. I mounted this entire long dashed stamp, and I tried to line it up so I could just stamp one line this way and one line that way and get crosses. It does not line up, so they're not quite the same dimensions. Thank you for everything you do. I think everyone who got this kit loved this piece of paper. So live more dreaming, more laughs, more love. And I think most people cut it down so it was about this size, and they did something to it. So I put pieces of paper that matched the coloring, and I used some black peel-offs on the edge, and I did pop the sentiment piece up on some foam tape. I also used some of the little puffy stickers that are triangles on the edges of the different letters. Okay, so this piece is the one that inspired me to start making cards like this. So it was towards the end. I was running out of pieces of paper and I really just wanted to use everything up. I also really adored this little square. You can see I cut it out and then added some black peel-off stickers to sort of create a square around it. Love that we're friends. So I had seen someone do this, I don't know when. Basically, they took a piece of paper and they drew lines with rulers and cut them out and labeled them. So they already had their square, then they put them over another piece of paper and traced it and cut it out. And then they could piece it all together and create something like this. So then after this piece, I created this piece. So basically I took this piece, my sample pieces, and cut them further. So this uses lots of scraps of paper. I think it's pretty cute. So live life to the fullest and focus on the positive. Today, I used lots of peel-offs to cover where the pieces went together, and I used puffy stickers in the corners, and of course with the today. This is another piece of paper that I loved. So it's got two triangles with marble, and it's got a bunch of these stripes. So fill your life with experiences, not things. Have incredible stories to tell and not stuff to show. I am trying to take that to heart, especially moving. I've discovered I had a lot more stuff than I thought I had. And moving into a much smaller apartment, I've really had to reassess what's important in my life. And it's been pretty freeing to get rid of a lot of stuff that was important to me, but isn't as important to me. So yeah, I just love this paper. I love that the colors match the stripes. And yeah. Okay. So this is really hard to see. I like the idea, but I don't like the reality. So I had a piece of paper that was cut by 4 5 1/4. It was gray cardstock that came in the kit. And I used my craft mat and the cracked pistachio to do the ink smushing and get this background. I stamped on top of it with, I think, Broken China Distress Oxide ink. Broken China. And this corner piece. So I did that several times. I dried it really well, or I thought I did, and then I stamped "You Are Incredible" with Versamark ink, and used the Cloud 9 embossing powder. So it's hard to see, but it does say "You Are Incredible." My idea was to see if I could sort of mass produce a bunch of similar cards that were pretty easy to make, that again I could give to students when they're down, having a bad day, something's going on, or I think they just need to be reminded that they are pretty darn awesome. So I think if I'd use different embossing powder here, it would be a lot better, and if the stripes showed up better. But we live and we learn. Okay, so for this piece, I use the dashed lines on the background to just stamp and create a pattern. I corner rounded my 4 by 5 1/4 piece of paper. I used this background paper because it matched these little bright green dots, and you can sort of see, yeah, you can see right there and right there. I used glossy accents and some of the red or pink, dark pink dots. So my sentiment says wild and free. I mounted that on a piece of paper and then mounted it on a banner. I did curl up my edges a little, but this has been sitting in a stack, so it's not so curled up anymore. And this is my final card that I'm showing you. It's certainly not the final card that I made. So again, using lots of those scraps, I covered the whole page with double-sided adhesive, and I just layered these together. A couple places I didn't meet the paper very well, so I used some peel-offs, and I did go from thinnest to medium to thickest peel off. I stamped "You Are Incredible" repeatedly, and "Where you go, you feel most alive." Oh, sorry, "Go where you feel most alive." And I used some of the puffy stickers. So these cards were a lot of fun to make. They're certainly not cards that I would have, or rather the paper isn't, I wouldn't have gone out and bought the paper. I would have loved the marbling, and I did really like the paper. I'm glad that it stepped me outside my comfort zone. I did use most of it up. I ended up just throwing away the scraps except for these little pieces that I showed you before because I thought I might use these. I'm not sure when or where. I still have the Cloud9 embossing powder left. I have my Distress Oxide Cracked Pistachio left. And I have my stamp set left. I will also say that I didn't use all of the card bases that were in the kit. There were some times when I felt the colors that I had in my stash matched the colors in the paper a little better. So if you do go online to the Simon Says Stamp site and look at the August 2017 card kit called Together, you will find that I think there's an ivory cardstock that I never ended up using. That said, I really like these cards. So I made 2, 4, 6, 7, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I made 15 cards from this kit. I know I could have made more, but you know, I'm starting a new job this fall. I'm a teacher. I have to get my place together. I have to get things at school together. So I just reached a point where I needed to stop. I am very sorry that I can't show you how I actually made these cards, and I'm hoping that won't happen in the future. At the end of the video, I will show you close-ups of each of these cards. I hope that you enjoyed watching, and I hope that you have a great day. Thanks. Bye.